Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to do another segment here with Fiberglass Florida and Pelly surfboards. We're going to do a quick clip on some FCS 2 fin installation today. And so right now I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick cloth pull, and we're going to cut some laps, get this board ready. So we're going to go ahead and get this board set up to go ahead and drop these fin boxes in. Now keep in mind, during the installation, depending on your glassing schedule, you're definitely going to want to go ahead and put some fin patches. And I've pre-cut some out. Basically, you want to cut patches that are going to go over your box because I'm using a single layer bottom. So you definitely want to have a good patch over each fin box. And if you'll notice, I've already pre-taped the tops of these boxes. Make sure that you do that. Make sure everything's sticky and got it down real good. And also the big thing is make sure on the bottom of these boxes, they will tell you, a lot of times they'll say 0 degrees, obviously that's for the trailer. And you want to make sure you double check before you install these boxes that you're putting them in the right routed area, obviously left and right. So that's just something that you want to always double check. Make sure you got that set up properly. So we're going to mix up some resin and we're going to go ahead and get these boxes dropped. Okay guys, so we're mixing up some resin to drop these boxes. Make sure if you're using epoxy resin, of course you want to make sure you stir this up real good. I'm going to show you one thing too about these brushes. You're going to need a little 1-inch brush, which is really helpful. After you install the plugs, you're going to want to go ahead and brush the tops and clean up the excess resin that kind of spills over. I like to let the boxes kind of set up a little bit as far as the resin kind of kicking. And it just makes the lamination part a lot easier. You won't have to deal with a lot of air bubble issues and stuff like that. The FCS plugs are pretty good about that, even if you go for it. But I like to go ahead and do that anyway. So it's real simple. You want to put a pretty fair amount of resin in there. I like to kind of push it up against the walls. If you could see that, I'm basically just pushing resin up into the side walls of where I've routed. And that's a pretty good thing to do. And then basically just kind of go ahead and squeeze your box down gently. I'm using my palm underneath the board here and I'm wiggling these boxes down until they actually make contact with the bottom of the area that I routed. So that's great. Okay, that one's good, just about there. Another thing is too, when you have your brush, make sure that you really get all the loose hairs out of your brush, because if you go ahead and start brushing, you may wind up getting some hairs, and that's not awesome. So we'll stay away from doing that. And I'm just gently brushing the excess resin around the area, and just like so. And then we'll go on to the next one. And it goes the same way, gently pushing down until I touch the bottom. We talked about on the last segment making sure that when you route these boxes, that the top of the box is flush with your foam. And that's one thing that we talked about in the segment before this, something that I really pay attention to, which is important. So we're just brushing the excess resin, keeping everything nice and flat. And then we'll do the final one. And I'm just gently putting my palm gently rocking it back and forth, and I put enough resin underneath in the box prior to dropping the box so that the resin will come up to the surface just like this, and that's what you want to see. You want to see some resin coming up to the top. If you don't put enough resin in those boxes, that's not a good thing. You definitely want to make sure you've got enough resin down in there so that it actually comes back up and spills over onto the top area so you can, brush everything like so. Make sure that you have anything that's heavy duty. You don't want anything sticking up during your lamps. You want to make sure you brush everything nice and flat. And you'll notice I've got my patches ready to go, so when these things set up and they lock up a little bit, I'll go ahead and lay my patches on, and then I'll go ahead and continue to laminate. Okay guys, so we basically just installed our fin boxes, and I like to gently lift up the tail, and I like to place something, a couple rolls of tape would be fine, old rolls. And what I'm doing is I'm leveling out the area where the fin boxes are. And that's going to keep everything from either running forward or backward after you got everything flat. It's just a good idea to keep everything flat. Everything that I use here, all my cloth products, my resin products, I use Fiberglass Florida, and those guys have basically an unlimited resource of anything you need. And if you need any questions, those guys are more than happy to help you. So they're the best, Fiberglass Florida.